All right, so we're going to talk about introducing the big three, how I do it, and what are the big three. So, birds, guns, and water. Uh, so, we'll start with birds. After the dog is retrieving to hand bumpers and balls, I'm going to throw either a quail or a chucker out and let freshly shot, not frozen. Sometimes frozen birds will mess the dog up. So I will throw those freshly shot game out, let them pick it up, bring it to me. Sometimes they will bark at it, sometimes they won't pick it up right away. Sometimes it takes a few tries. But I'm going to give them 2 or 3 opportunities, then I put that said game up, and I may bring it out later down the road, or later, a few weeks later, or something like that, see if they'll pick it up. I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to try to overly encourage the dog or reprimand the dog for not picking it up or get frustrated. If he won't do it that day, I just put that bird up and try again later, right? So if he does go straight for it, no issues, or anything, then I'll just put that up, do some more retrieving until I get into throwing clips out for the dog. So that's how I introduce birds. I introduce the clips by just tossing it out in front of the dog and letting them chase like it's a fun bumper, so that they can get used to it and they're encouraged, but they have to be retrieving those freshly shot game to hand very well before I do that, right? And I want them a little bit older, so I want them, I don't want you doing this 8 weeks with a dog. I want you doing this, 4 or 5 months, somewhere around there. Trying to do this if the dog's been successful in those other places. If not, then it may be 6, 7 months before you start doing that. So that's how I'm introducing the birds. Just slowly like that. They'll see a lot of clips, and eventually they'll see flyaways when we get to steadiness. So that's birds. And then we have water, which is I like to try to find water puddles, pools of water. After it rains real hard, go take the pup out, put my rain boots on, and walk through it. Now this is going to be when it's hot, spring, summer, not when it's cold, right? I never want to try to introduce the dog when it's cold, and I always want to do a smaller body of water, somewhere where they can stand up at first. And if it's spring, summer, if it's at a lake, I want one with a gradual increase so they can walk out, and then eventually they go to swimming. And I'm going to get in the water with them. So I'm going to go swim with them. I want them to enjoy being in it before I introduce a retrieve into the equation. Once they love being in the water, then I'll introduce, retrieving with a bumper in there or something like that. So that's how I'm introducing water. With the dog, getting in there with them when it's hot, or walking through small water puddles around my property, or little ditches that have filled up because it's rained a good bit. And I'm doing this after they've had at least 2 to 3 rounds of their shots, right? I don't want to do this with just one set of shots in. I want at least 2 to 3. So the next is Gunfire, and that's a tricky one. What I personally do is I have a dog trailer. I've done it with dog boxes or crates in my truck with windows rolled down, and the dogs will hear me shoot and train the big dogs while they're in the crate, and I'm some distance away shooting these guns. They have already been let out, had a fun time playing with me. I put them back up. They're relaxed, tired, they're asleep. They're hearing gunshots in their sleep. And then also while they're playing, I'll take my cap gun, I'll put it in my game bag, I'll put a towel over it, and I'll fire a round off while the puppies are running around, either playing with my dog or just running around in general, and see how they react. If they react strongly to it, I may put it away for that point. If they just show no reaction at all, keep hunting around going, I'll fire a couple more off. I won't do more than 3. But I'll just gradually build on that. So I may, instead of muffling it with a towel and the bag, I'll take the towel out and just do the bag. And then eventually I'll work to behind my back. If I can, and the dog allows me to, I try to stay away from introducing it with birds and retrieving as the mechanism like most people do. Because I don't want the dog associating gunfire with breaking or chasing. I want the dog to associate gunfire as meaning sit later on. So I try to introduce it as just a noise that they shouldn't react to. So if the dog does have a reaction, I'm not going to try to coddle them or comfort them. I'm just going to keep walking. So we're walking out in the woods, and the dog is just going to have to get over it, right? If they do show me a strong reaction, I'll probably put it up for a little bit. And if it's really bad and they seem a little uncomfortable with gunfire as we go up, then I will let them chase birds and fire the gun over them to get them over that. And that usually solves it if I have to, but it just adds a little bit more work on me later on to get them to sit to gunfire. And so that's how I introduce the big three: birds, water, and gunfire. That's kind of an overview. You'll see videos and examples of all three of those things and when I'm doing it with several puppies.